You smell that? Today on Wood Turning, we're going to make a reed diffuser.
Tim's American Beauty was made by Robust Tools, America's premier lathe manufacturer. Quality hardened tool rests and live centers too. Robust. Built to turn wood. Enjoyed for a lifetime.
Thompson Lathe Tools. Welcome to a new level of professional wood turning tools. Made by a wood turner for wood turners. There's a situation going on at my house, and for years my wife has been putting candles in the restroom that I use. We have a guest bathroom that she gives me the opportunity to use. Anyway, I didn't really catch on. All of a sudden, these things started showing up, reed diffusers, and I kind of got the message then. She obviously thinks that my soap smells bad in my bathroom. But anyway, so I decided to make a nice display for the reed diffuser because inside of here is a little bitty jar, and I think they're not that pretty. So I didn't want something like that sitting in my bathroom. I wanted something that I made. And so this is really cool. This is a hollowed out piece of maple burl. Really beautiful stuff. And then I took a piece of ebony, which has a little bit of brown streaking in it, which I think is a nice touch so it doesn't just look like plastic. And then I built that inset in there. Then you put the jar goes inside and the reeds go in there. Now, your wood, or let me say your reed diffuser might come in a different shape, a different size jar. So don't worry about any measurements on this. Just find the proper size piece of wood to put your jar into. Well, what we're going to use today is going to be really interesting. We're going to be using a great piece of Australian Gum Burl. This stuff is incredible. Look at the veins inside of this. I don't know what this is going to look like with the reed diffuser in it, but I think it's going to be incredible looking. And we're still going to stick with that neat piece of ebony for the top. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go ahead and get this mounted on the lathe. I found out the hard way, one thing you really need to do before you mount this is, see, I've drilled a hole here to use the worm screw to hold this on the lathe. Well, this is the top of my reed diffuser holder. So I have now transferred the diameter of the jar that I need to make the hole for. Why is that important? Because I want to make sure I leave enough of a lip here that I can make the recess for the ebony top. So that just tells me, hey, stay back, don't go near that. So we're going to take this now and we're just going to screw it onto the worm screw. Goes on really nicely. And once this tightens up a little bit, okay. Oh, it's good. There's a lot of wax on this one, so that's kind of interesting. And I think I bought this thing back in like 1999 or something. So it's been on my shelf a very, very long time. Gonna get this here, nothing hitting. I'm gonna go ahead and use a bowl gouge for this because it takes a nice little bite. Oops, let me swing this out of the way. Try that again, there we go. Because I don't want to take big chunks of wood, and I don't know which way the grain is running on this thing since it's a burl. I could have it completely upside down right now. So that's the idea. Bowl gouge will do less damage if I'm doing this wrong. Also, it just makes a cleaner cut with this thing zipping around. So let me go ahead and get my goggles on, and I'm going to go small, so I'm going to go with my 1/2 inch bowl gouge. So we're going to take the speed way down and turn it up. I'm going to stay off to the side in case anything goes wrong. If you're a new turner, or you're unsure of your wood, make sure you put a face mask on because that's always a good safety procedure. So I'm not going to turn this way up right now because there's a lot of air going by here. You actually hear that. Interesting sound. So I'm just going to pass my hand across and I'm looking at the top of the piece of the wood to see how much I'm removing. That's actually why I painted my floor white, is so I can look past the dark wood and see the white floor and I can see the silhouette better. So it's a little jumpy when you're doing this, so you just want to take your time and take as little wood off as possible and work your way down to a cylinder. So it'll just take me a couple minutes and I'll be there. Let's see how it goes. Okay, now we've got this rounded out and look at that gum vein. That is so cool. That is really neat stuff. And this is also really, really, really hard wood. Like I said, I think this has been in my shop, I mean, almost 20 years, so it's well dried. Now the thing we want to do here is we want to figure out where this jar is going to go. I don't want it to be all the way to the end because I want to make a recess for a little ebony lid to hide the glass, right? So we're going to give ourselves a little space there. So we know the bottom is going to be about here. So we just got to start making a gentle shape to go around this to enclose the glass. I've got enough on the sides, so it's going to be kind of almost like a teardrop, kind of. So we'll just get this going and we'll start shaping the bottom first. And this is really cool because I can look over at this side, and the mark I made for the width of this is just about the width of the jaws, so it's a really good indicator where I need to go or not go, tell you the truth. So we'll turn this back on. I picked the speed up a little bit to make the cut easier because that's kind of interrupted with the gum burls. So I'm going to just start here and start whittling this edge off. Move my body back, swing it. We're making a big bead. And I think I want the thickest part of the bead to be about right here and then taper from there. But you can't take all this wood off at once, so you got to sneak up on it. And the nice thing is I'll refine the shape as I go along. It doesn't have to be perfect right off the bat. Okay, that looks pretty good. I'm going to come back here and start moving the wood here. So I'm going to work on roughing this shape out and get it down to about where I need it. And then we'll see what we're going to do next. Now I got my handy dandy calipers out because 2 inches is the minimum width that a tenon or the chuck that I have will expand into like that. So I'm going to make that mark on the wood down here and transfer it to it. One nice thing about the American Beauty is it has a removable and movable on-off switch. So I love that because when I move on the lathe, then I can just stick it anywhere I want, and it's very handy to get to the off switch if I need it. So we're going to turn this up. We're going to go kind of slow speed. This is almost sanding speed. So I'm going to touch this tip first. I'm not worried about how pretty the surface is, so I'm going to try to hit this right off the button. And you can see that mark is wide, so we'll come back in a little bit, and that's in between. So I know that if I make the hole at least that wide, it's going to be plenty wide for the chuck to go into. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my bowl gouge, and I'm just going to start whittling away at that. And I've got it right here, and I've got, whoa. Have you ever been trying to hollow or do something, you put your elbow into that point right there? Not good. So that hurts like a lot. So we're just going to get rid of that for right now. Now Brian might have to worry about something a little bit lower, but that's why we pay him so well. Yeah. I'm going to turn this on, and we're just going to start whittling away at this. So I've got it kind of scooped out. It's roughly what I need. So our jaws have dovetails, so they stick out like this, so it's going to expand like this. So the best tool to make this dovetail to receive it is a skew. So I can take the skew in and go at an angle and make that dovetail. Also, it helps me flatten this little shelf here, and that's what the jaw faces will rest on. I've recessed this out just to give it a pretty look. I just was a little surprised when somebody turns that thing over. Of course, if they turn it over, they're spilling all that oil over the place, and that's a bad idea. Because believe me, I've been there. Okay, we'll just push in. Now I'm going to turn the tool just a little bit, because where I want the jaws to touch is right at that intersection there. I don't want them to touch here first. If there's air there, it's less solid of a hole, because this is only about 1/4 of an inch deep. So I want a very clean recess for my jaws to go into. There we go. Going to sand a little bit, and then we're going to turn this around. Okay, I have the piece turned around and mounted with the expansion chuck jaw recess thingy I did, right? But what I did over here is I cleaned up the face here so I have a nice clean edge going on. You can see the scratch marks right here. That's the diameter of the reed jar that's going to go in there. I took a Forstner bit and drilled in here the depth that I would need this to go in. And I want this to be a little bit below the lip because when I put the ebony piece on, it's got to be recessed in there a bit. But this is something you can mess around with, is where it winds up. So yours is going to be different looking, probably different size, different shape. So the next thing is I need to hollow this out. And this is my handy dandy little hollower, the elbow tool, which I actually happen to sell, but I really like it. And I've now developed a laser for it, which I love completely. So the laser is, you can put the dot, the width you want a wall with your tool tip. In this case, I just want a reference. I just want to see where I am inside, because when it goes inside, you see the dot on top. This time, instead of seeing the edges, I want to see a straight line as I go in and out. So that's going to tell me I'm keeping a straight line for the hollowing I'm doing. So that's what I want to do. Also, it tells me the depth, so I know how deep I am, because that's the tip of the tool right there. So I want to bring this remote over to here, turn this on. And with Gum Burl, I hear a little cracking, so I'm going to go at this very gently, and I'm not going to crank the speed up too much. We're probably about 1,000 RPM. And so all I want to do is just this simple movement right here and just whittle away the wood. With hollowing, where people get into trouble is they go too fast. They get in too big of a hurry and they take too big of a cut with their wood. You think about it, this thing's held all the way back here, you're putting pressure out here. You don't want to knock that off of the jaws. So you just take your time and whittle your way in. You can see how easily this cuts. This is a 1/4 inch bar with just a nice sharp edge on it. It's got 5% cobalt in it, so it's also high-speed steel and cobalt. So I probably won't even have to sharpen this one time in here because it's going to work so well. Kind of reminds me of Thompson tools. It doesn't have to sharpen once when I shape this entire thing. They're really great tools. So I'm just whittling my way in, coming to the edge. Now the technical thing I'm going to do first is I want to get to that mark, right? And so I want to get hollowed out just a little bit to there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to stop the lathe, pull this out of the way. Well, I got enough room, I think. See if the jar fits. Okay, see, I need to get a little bit wider. So I want to sneak up on this so I have this tight as I can get. Not too tight, you want to be able to pull this thing out. But you get the idea. I just want to be, the hole to be as small a diameter as needed. So I'm going to keep messing with this, and once I get it to where it fits right, then I'm going to take and hog out the rest of the wood. Okay, we're getting ready for our next step, but let me show you where we are. I've got the reed holder in here, the glass, and here's a little recess I put in here, just exactly like we did on the bottom here for the jaws. I just made one in here because this is where the ebony lid will fit. And so one thing I'm going to do is I've taken that diameter and transferred it over to this blank the same way I did with the calipers before, so I just made a scratch mark. So what we want to do is just start worrying away at that wood a little bit so we can get down to that size. So I'm just going to take off a little bit of wood because this is the top of the lid, so I'm in no danger of taking too much off here. Down here it's got to be critical that I get it exactly right, so I want to get this right first. So I'll start this up. I have the tailstock up here just for a little bit of safety because this is mounted on a waste block piece of wood held in the chuck. And it's held by a double-sided tape that is made for woodworking. If you're going to do this, do not go get carpet tape. That will not work. You need the stuff that's made for woodworking. It's thicker and it's stickier and it handles the variations in the surface of the wood when you put something on. So we're going to go down here and I'm right to that line. Okay, we'll stop this. We're going to pull this back a little bit and then we're going to check our fit. See if this goes on. Okay, we're not there yet. That's good because I want to sneak up on this. I don't want to spend a lot of time. So we'll just bring this back just for safety's sake and just take whispers of wood off of here. There we go. It's a little more whispery. And once I get this to where it fits, I'm going to take my calipers, take this exact diameter, and then transfer it on down to that end so the end will fit. So that is almost there. That's almost perfect. I just need to take a little bit more off. So I'm going to keep worrying away on this. Once I get this the right diameter, we'll start shaping it. Okay, now I've got the diameter down there that I need to fit in the top of the lid. But anyway, I went ahead and drilled a hole with a Forstner bit in my Jacobs chuck, right? And the cool thing is at this point, probably you're going to have a drill bit which is a little bit larger than the diameter of whatever bottle you're using. I'll show you. The whole idea behind this is that I want this to barely fit in there like so. That way, if this lid is off on height any which way, it fits down over the rim rather than hitting it and wobbling the lid. So we got that. These don't count. These do. So what I'm going to do now is take my bowl gouge, and we're just going to start whittling this way in and make this a flare, because as these sticks sit in the lid, in that hole, if you have the side straight up, the sticks are going to be straight up. So you want them to flare out. So we need angle in the hole like that to make that work. So we'll turn this on, pick speed up a bit, get that out of the way. Okay, and this is just like turning a bowl at this point. We're just going to go in, make these little cuts. Oh, Ebony is so fun to use. And this is about a 3/4 inch, almost an inch thick piece of wood. But it's up to you however thick you want to make this, however you want your design to work. So my goal is I want to get rid of some of this wood. That looks like it's a little too tall to begin with. So I'm going to go ahead and get this cone shape going all the way in there, and then I'm going to shape the outside. So the whole idea is to get rid of those little straight walls in there. Right there. So come in a little steeper maybe. And Ebony is a great wood to turn because it just, the finish you can leave is amazing. That looks pretty good there. So we're going to take the tool rest, move it to this side, and now we're going to start shaping and putting a curve or whatever we want to make on here. So I'm going to just come in here and start working away a little bit of the wood this way. And actually I'm going to come back this way because I'm going into end grain. Oh, much nicer. So I'm swinging my body a little bit. Kind of making a cone here. So we're going to lose a little bit of height here. We don't want that to be so big. But I want to blend this in with that diameter I have right there so this doesn't stand out. I just want it to rise out of that recess. Whew. So I'm going to get this exactly the way I want it, and then I'll show you how to put a really cool finish on this. So now we're ready for the fun part. I went ahead and sanded this to about 3200 grit using micro mesh, which I think is like a diamond impregnated paper or something like that. Not paper, it's cloth. But you can see the nice shine that's on there. But I really want to top that off with a good finish. So I'm taking a paper towel and kind of folding it up. And this is Doctor's Wood Shop Plus. It's a pin finish, and it's made by Mike, and he is an awesome guy. He's actually a real doctor. This is really cool. Every time I see him at the symposiums and stuff, I can ask for a little medical advice while I'm there. This has seen better days. I should have kept it. We wouldn't get messy. But you just need a few drops of this stuff on here. Then, oh, that's way too much. This is going to get splattery then. So we'll turn this on slow. Put my googles on so I don't get any of that in my eyes. And we're just going to touch it to it and kind of flood it. Like so. Now, we're going to take the speed and pick the speed way up. And this is where you fold this towel so you don't get burned from the heat. Now we're just going to press in there, and this is the friction polish part. You're going to be super amazed at what this is going to look like here. This is actual wood. This is why I love working with ebony. It's a rosewood, and look at the finish on there. It is unbelievable. It is the glossiest thing you've ever seen. Now, you can let that sit for a minute because it's a little bit warm, so you let it solided up, kind of word. But anyway, I wanted to show you one thing. I'm using a screwdriver back here, right? Because with this paper, this two-sided tape, you can sometimes get things stuck on there, right? Well, what I did is when I built my jam chuck, my faceplate here that I made, the waste block, I took the bandsaw and cut lines in it so I can get something behind there and under there to pry it off. So anyway, I'm going to take a little mineral spirits, get the glue off of there, and then we're going to be putting the finish on the body. Okay, so we've got this part finished, and we're going to finish this with some Danish oil, but I wanted to show you how the assemblage goes together. So that goes on, and that fits in there just nice like so. And then the reeds will go in there. So that'll be beautiful. Now, on this Gum Burl, one of the little issues with it is with all the cracks and crevices in there, when you flood it with the Danish oil, it wants to go in the cracks, right? And you don't want it to stay loaded up in there. Oh, give me a second here. Wood turner's pouring. Wow, that's great. So anyways, it builds up in there. What you'll do is you'll wipe this coat off by hand, let it soak for a little bit, and then take your air gun and just blow out the cracks, and the excess that comes out you just wipe off. So that's the way you get it out of there, and you don't build it up inside. It doesn't look gunky. But you get this coating on here. That is just some gorgeous looking stuff. I'll finish the inside in a minute. Well, anyway, that is how you make a reed air diffuser. Use any wood you want, use any size diffuser you want, knock yourself out, and make your extra special person in your life really happy that you have a diffuser where you need it. Till the next time on Wood Turning, keep turning.
Tim's American Beauty was made by Robust Tools, America's premier lathe manufacturer. Quality hardened tool rests and live centers too. Robust. Built to turn wood, enjoyed for a lifetime.
Thompson Lathe Tools. Welcome to a new level of professional wood turning tools. Made by a wood turner, for wood turners.